Hello, and welcome to BBC America's Wedding Spotlight. This week's episode is entitled 3 Weddings and a Visa, the Sullivan-Hungate Wedding. Many of you are here today because you know the bride or the groom. But little did you know that the rest of the world has been talking about this couple and their quest for wedding glory.
Hello, my name is Elizabeth, former high school chemistry student, briefly singer-songwriter, and now editor for the style section of the New York Times. The Sullivan-Hungate wedding. I'm not going to say that it's one of the top weddings of the season. It's not even going to be in the paper. But in terms of weddings between two people who work in the sheet music publishing industry, one of whom is gluten-free. It's probably in the top 5 weddings of the summer, bearing in mind that it's actually 2 of the top 5 weddings of the summer in that category. What they didn't do is pick a theme, like Under the Sea or Wild West. That I guess people don't always do that with weddings. I'm not quite sure why. It seems like it could be an interesting idea. I guess you could say the theme is transatlantic unity. That could be the theme if they had it, but they don't have to have a theme.
The wedding is glorious. The colors are the brightest that you could hope to see. The food is fragrant. The dancing has been or will be stunning. But let's get to know a little bit more about the bride herself.
I've known Louisa all my life. Since we were 3, which is technically most of my life, but so we grew up doing everything together, made a lot of music, she's a fantastic singer. I don't know if you know, but she is, and we watched a lot of musicals, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang and Mary Poppins and anything with Julie Andrews, I suppose, her complete works. So it was no surprise that once we grew up, we were just trying to get out of the country and go see all these places. She just was bound for Europe.
It should come as no surprise that our bride grew up to spend her life traveling to Switzerland, to England, to Germany, to Madagascar, an island paradise adrift in the Indian Ocean, to Timbuktu. But in her travels to Denmark, fate nearly took her in a different direction.
So when Louisa and I were in college, we traveled abroad to Denmark. Why we chose Denmark, I don't know. It's cold there. But when we were there, a crazy thing happened. We were at Tivoli, which was a huge amusement park. And we were online waiting for a ride, and all of a sudden, the Prince of Denmark happened to be standing in line behind us. And Louisa turned around, introduced herself, and they really hit it off. She was living a true life princess diaries. They went off, they did their own thing. I ended up riding the rides alone. And then a couple hours later, when she finally came back, I asked her, I was like, what happened? How did it go? And she told me that he had offered his hand in marriage. But she said to him, as much as I love Danishes, I'm not that kind of girl. And to be honest with you, I'm really glad she didn't end up with him, because Bevis is a much better catch.
And who is this Bevis, you may ask? Why, none other than the groom.
Bevis!
He lives a double life. By day, he's a mild-mannered music hire library manager. actually he lives a triple life because he's also quite a successful pianist, touring in a band with Alex. But the third layer, peeling back the onion skin of Bevis Hungate, is he is a bit part player in Game of Thrones.
Well, it all went a little bit strange really when he was asked to appear in Love Actually, and things got a bit out of hand with his ego, which hasn't really gone away. And then he starred as Hermione in the Harry Potter films. And yeah, so it was a bit of a blur. It was a blur, yeah. It was a blur.
And one day, these two creatures, majestic and beautiful in their own right, happened to meet.
So I don't really remember meeting Louisa. It sort of feels like I've always known Louisa, but I do remember meeting Bevis, which was at our friend Michelle's house. And I've been hearing about Bevis forever, for like months, because he was this cute guy that she sat across from at work, and she was like trying to work out the nerve to ask him out, and I remember having late night conversations about like, in our modern world, like, can girls ask boys out? Is that a thing yet? And being like, yeah, we went to Smith, like it's totally a thing. You can definitely ask a boy out.
The first time that I had heard of Bevis, Louisa had just started a temporary job at Boozy and had met a coworker who she found quite interesting. We discussed the various merits and demerits of work relationships and decided that probably the most prudent course would be to wait until her temporary employment period was over before seeing what might develop in this area. So I was pleased to see a year later that things had in fact developed very nicely at the end of her work period, and that I was now face to face with Bevis Hungate.
It seems to have worked out pretty well.
And the rest is history of the world.
I remember getting a phone call from Louisa when I was driving back from the depths of Queens after visiting one of my students, and she called me, and she was so excited because Bevis had just proposed to her.
So I was really pleased when I heard that they were gonna get married, you know, and it was great. I was so happy to be there for that, and they came and visited me a lot when I was in Birmingham. They came and saw my shows, and we went to the Cadbury factory, and we almost lost Bevis actually to one of the chocolate vats. He just got a little too close. You know, it was tense. It was tense, but we got him out, and he's safe, as you can see. I couldn't be happier. I think they're great for each other. You know, they both love sheet music and music and everything else, and I'm really happy knowing, you know, after I had to leave England, that she'd be in such great hands, and knowing every day that he's in such great hands, such great gluten-free hands.
That's the Sullivan Hungate wedding in a nutshell. I think it's going to be great. I wish them my best. Again, obviously, it's not going to be in the paper, you guys, so you can stop sending me emails. Your 3 weddings are not going to be in the New York Times, but wish you the best of luck together. Hopefully 3 times the charm, and yep, that's all I have to say.
Thank you for joining me on this journey through these 2 lives and their 3 times of wedded bliss. Thank you, and goodbye.